There's a profound, almost sacred quietness that settles within when one begins to unravel the intricate tapestry of their own being, particularly the threads woven by external hands. You have known this quiet. You have felt the subtle, insidious pressure to conform, to dim your light, to soften the edges of your truth for the comfort of others. Perhaps you have carried the quiet burden of feeling controlled, or the gnawing ache of internal conflict, where the authentic self wars against the self molded by expectation. This is not merely a personal struggle. It is an ancient wound, a testament to the perpetual tension between the individual spirit and the collective will. Consider the profound paradox embedded in our very understanding of strength. Why does radical self-sufficiency, a seemingly virtuous trait, provoke such apprehension and label one a threat to society? We are taught to seek connection, to build bridges, to rely on one another. Yet, when an individual truly sheds the need for external validation, when their inner compass becomes their sole guide, a disquiet ripples through the established order. It is as if a silent alarm sounds, signaling the presence of a force that cannot be easily swayed, manipulated, or absorbed into the comforting, yet often restrictive, embrace of the herd. Friedrich Nietzsche, with his unflinching gaze, diagnosed this societal apprehension with chilling precision. He understood that the collective, in its quest for stability and control, often fears the untamed individual, the soul that has cultivated its own will to power beyond the dictates of conventional morality. Society, he observed, develops intricate mechanisms designed to suppress this potent individual drive, often through the subtle imposition of a morality that values conformity, obedience, and psychological dependence over authentic self-authorship. It seeks to domesticate the wild spirit, to prune back the branches of radical independence, ensuring that no towering tree casts too long a shadow over the uniform forest. The discomfort that arises when an individual transcends the need for external validation is deeply psychological. It challenges the foundational structures of social control, the unspoken agreements that bind us, and the conventional morality that often equates goodness with subservience. As Carl Jung observed, the greatest and most important problems of life are all fundamentally insoluble. They can never be solved, but only outgrown. This journey into true self-mastery is precisely that outgrowing, a transcendence of the need for approval, a liberation from the psychological dependence that keeps us tethered to the expectations of others. It is the arduous, yet profoundly liberating process of cultivating an unshakable inner strength, a radical self-overcoming that redefines our very relationship with the world. This is the essence of what we call Dark Nietzsche, not as a proponent of malice or destruction, but as a fearless diagnostician. He unveils the hidden resentments and fears that fuel society's perception of the independent spirit as an enemy. He shines a light on the shadow aspects of human nature, revealing how the desire for power, when denied or suppressed in oneself, can project itself as fear onto those who embody it authentically. The man or woman who truly needs no one, who stands as an embodiment of profound self-authorship, becomes a mirror reflecting the collective's own unfulfilled potential, its own suppressed will, and in that reflection there is often fear. The mask you wear is not your true face. Uncover the will beneath. This path is not about isolation, but about the profound, liberating truth of discovering your own unshakable power, becoming a force that cannot be easily contained nor defined by the world around you. There is a deep, almost primal discomfort that stirs within the collective when faced with a soul that truly needs no one. You have perhaps felt this unease yourself, a quiet apprehension when encountering someone unswayed by the currents that pull at others, someone whose inner compass points steadfastly towards their own truth. This collective discomfort is not born of malice, but often of a silent wound within society society itself, the pervasive low self-esteem, the fear of external control, the deep-seated fear of judgment that binds so many. The individual who stands in radical autonomy, untouched by these anxieties, inadvertently exposes the psychological fragility of those who rely on external structures for their sense of self and purpose. Their independence becomes a mirror reflecting the subtle dependencies that often go unexamined. Nietzsche, in his profound exploration of human values, illuminated this dynamic through his concept of master-slave morality. He observed that society often distorts the very nature of power, convincing us that it resides in external validation, in social approval, or in the collective's benevolent gaze. Yet true power, he argued, originates from within, from an unyielding will to overcome and create one's own values. What Nietzsche termed slave morality, born of resentment and a desire to tame the strong, often demonizes the independent spirit, precisely because it does not require the herd's good to define its worth. The master spirit, self-affirming and self-legislating, lives beyond the need for external permission. As Nietzsche stated, every elevation of man has hitherto been the work of an aristocratic society, meaning that profound human advancement often springs from those who dare to stand apart, to forge their own path, rather than merely follow. Society, in its intricate design, expects a certain gratitude for its support and an unquestioning conformity to its values. There is an unspoken contract. We provide you with belonging, with safety, with a framework for meaning, and in return you remain within our bounds. Yet the counterintuitive truth is that genuine strength and unshakable inner power often emerges from a defiant solitude, a conscious withdrawal from such expectations. This radical self-overcoming, this profound self-authorship threatens the very social contract built on reciprocal dependence. It unveils its manipulative underbelly, exposing how often support can be a subtle form of control and values can be chains forged in fear. Beyond good and evil lies the path to authentic self-authorship. Consider this a revaluation of values within your own being. Reflect on 3 societal virtues you have internalized. Perhaps altruism as self-sacrifice or humility as deference. From the perspective of radical self-mastery, discern their true psychological function. Do they genuinely empower, or do they subtly enforce dependence, hindering your authentic personal power? The true measure of your independence is your indifference to external validation. Picture a lighthouse standing unshaken against the relentless fury of the storm. It is a beacon of its own making, rooted in its own foundation, powered by its own light. It seeks no comfort from the crowded harbor lights, nor does it ask for their permission to shine. To the ships that navigate only by the comfort of those collective clustered lights, the solitary lighthouse might appear as a threat, its fierce independence revealing the subtle weakness of their reliance. Your greatest strength lies not in conformity, but in radical self-overcoming. Does your own light, your own unshakable power, feel like a threat to the world that expects you to dim it? Are you ready to stand as your own lighthouse? You yearn, perhaps unconsciously, for a profound understanding of how to achieve genuine self-overcoming, an authentic personal power that does not succumb to internal division or the subtle currents of manipulation. This deep-seated desire finds its answer not in fleeting external victories, but in a profound understanding of the Bermensch, not as a tyrant, but as a self-mastered individual who has integrated their will, faced their own abyss, and overcome internal chaos. This figure represents the ultimate psychological fortress, built not of stone, but of an unshakable inner strength, forged in the fires of self-authorship. The common distortion of the Bermensch paints a picture of ruthless domination, an egoistic drive for external conquest. Yet this shatters a fundamental expectation. The truth, as Nietzsche revealed, is that true will to power is primarily directed inwards, a ceaseless process of self-overcoming and self-creation. It is the arduous journey of becoming something more than merely human, transcending the limitations imposed by inherited morality and herd mentality. As Nietzsche profoundly stated, man is a rope tied between beast and overman, a rope over an abyss. This is the internal struggle, the constant tension of striving towards a higher self rather than seeking to control others. The mask you wear is not your true face. Uncover the will beneath. The counterintuitive truth is that the threat posed by the Bermensch is not one of violence, but of uncompromising authenticity and intellectual independence. This individual's psychological resilience makes them immune to the subtle manipulations of herd morality, to the insidious whispers of societal guilt, and to the paralyzing fear of judgment. Their values are not borrowed. They are self-authored, forged in the crucible of their own experience and will. They stand as a testament to radical self-overcoming, a living embodiment of freedom from external validation. This profound self-authorship challenges the very foundation of systems built on collective dependence, revealing their inherent fragility. To cultivate this inner authority, this unshakable strength, consider a practical transformation in 3 steps. First, identify a deeply ingrained societal belief you adhere to, perhaps out of fear of judgment or a desire for acceptance. Second, subject this belief to rigorous Nietzschean perspectivism. Ask yourself, why do I truly believe this? Who benefits from this belief? Is it a truth I have discovered or one I have merely accepted? Finally, articulate your own self-authored stance on this belief, accepting the inherent discomfort of non-conformity. This deliberate process of questioning and self-definition builds an unshakable inner strength, a profound self-authorship that cannot be easily swayed. Become what you are. This symbolic quote encapsulates the core of the Bermensch continuous solitary act of self-authorship. By its very nature, this act stands apart from the collective narrative, embodying an authentic power that society cannot control. Your greatest strength lies not in conformity, but in radical self-overcoming. Embrace the abyss within. It holds the blueprint for your unshakable power. This is the truth of the man or woman who needs no one, a truth that echoes with the profound, liberating promise of intellectual independence and genuine self-mastery. There is a pervasive ache, a quiet suffering, in feeling inauthentic and compromising your true self to fit within the confines of societal norms. You have likely known this pain, the subtle erosion of your essence as you strive to meet external expectations. This stems from an unexamined dependence, a deep-seated belief that your worth is somehow tied to the approval of others. Yet within this struggle lies the profound liberation found in releasing that very need, in shedding the psychological burden of seeking validation from outside yourself. The mask you wear is not your true face. Uncover the will beneath. The common distortion tells us that interdependence is universally good, and that needing no one is antisocial or selfish. But this shatters a fundamental expectation. Much of what passes for interdependence is, in fact, psychological codependence, where individuals subtly leverage each other's weaknesses, avoiding the arduous burden of self-responsibility. It is a shared avoidance of the abyss within. Nietzsche understood this deeply, noting the immense cost of profound transformation. One has to pay dearly for immortality. One has to die several times while one is still alive. To truly become, one must let go of the parts that cling to external life support, even if those parts feel comforting. The counterintuitive truth is this: cultivating the capacity to genuinely need no one paradoxically allows for more authentic and robust connections. When you stand in your own unshakable strength, free from the subtle manipulations of obligation or emotional blackmail, your relationships shift. They move from a place of necessity, born of weakness, to a realm of conscious choice, forged in mutual strength. This radical independence is not isolation isolation. It is the foundation for genuine communion, where two sovereign beings choose to walk together rather than lean on each other out of fear. The true measure of your independence is your indifference to external validation. To embark on this path, consider a solitude inventory as a practical transformation. Dedicate a focused period to genuine solitude, perhaps an hour or even a full day. During this time, observe the anxieties that arise, the desires that surface, and the projections you typically cast onto others. Journal about what you usually seek from others in moments of discomfort or uncertainty. This practice is a powerful unveiling, revealing your self-imposed psychological limitations and strengthening your inner resolve. It is a confrontation with your own will, a step towards profound self-authorship. Embrace the abyss within. It holds the blueprint for your unshakable power. Picture the lone tree on the mountaintop. It stands deeply rooted in its own soil, drawing strength from within, weathering fierce storms that would uproot saplings in crowded, sheltered forests. Its independence makes it formidable, not fragile. Its strength is not derived from leaning on others, but from its singular, unyielding connection to its own being. What storms might you weather? What profound strength might you discover if you too rooted yourself in the soil of your own will? Your greatest strength lies not in conformity, but in radical self-overcoming. Are you ready to discover the formidable power of needing no one? There is a deep, quiet wound many carry, a profound disillusionment with conventional belief systems, with dogmas that once promised solace but now feel hollow. This void, this sense of intellectual homelessness, often leads one to seek answers beyond the well-trodden paths. It is here that radical solitude, a core Nietzschean practice, reveals its true purpose. It is not isolation born of fear or misanthropy, but a strategic withdrawal, a deliberate stepping away from the clamor for the sake of intellectual independence and the forging of new, self-authored values. The mask you wear is not your true face. Uncover the will beneath. The common distortion views solitude as a refuge for the lonely, the weak, or the antisocial. This shatters a fundamental expectation for the truly strong, for those committed to profound self-authorship. Solitude is a crucible. It is a necessary condition for critical thinking, the only path to revaluing values beyond the pervasive influence of society. As Nietzsche famously remarked, all truly great thoughts are conceived while walking. This speaks not just to physical movement, but to the mental space created when one disengages from external demands and allows the inner landscape to unfold, unfiltered and unburdened. Your greatest strength lies not in conformity, but in radical self-overcoming. The counterintuitive truth is that in an era of constant connection and manufactured noise, intentional solitude becomes an act of subversion. It is a quiet rebellion against the psychological manipulation of perpetual distraction, a defiance of the subtle pressures to conform to collective thought. In the stillness, the individual can finally hear their own will to power, without interference, without the static of external opinions or the echoes of received wisdom. This unshakable inner strength, cultivated in the quiet depths of self-reflection, becomes an impenetrable mind, resistant to the subtle forces that seek to control and define. To cultivate this impenetrable mind, implement a digital fast and reflection as a practical transformation. Disconnect from all digital inputs for a predetermined period, an afternoon, a full day. During this intentional withdrawal, engage in deep, undirected thought. Question your most cherished beliefs. Challenge societal norms you have long accepted. Document the uncomfortable truths that emerge, the novel insights that surface. This practice strengthens your perspectivist lens, allowing you to see beyond single narratives and to forge your own understanding. Beyond good and evil lies the path to authentic self-authorship. Consider the alchemist in their solitary laboratory, meticulously transforming base elements into gold. Solitude is your alchemical chamber, where the base elements of societal conditioning and unexamined beliefs are transmuted into the pure gold of intellectual independence and authentic personal power. Embrace the abyss within. It holds the blueprint for your unshakable power. The true measure of your independence is your indifference to external validation. Are you ready to enter your own solitary lab to forge an unshakable mind that needs no one to define its worth? The struggle to define personal power outside of external validation often leads to profound uncertainty about ethical boundaries. You have perhaps wrestled with this, feeling the ground beneath your moral convictions shift as you step away from inherited rules. This journey, however, is precisely where the man who needs no one can forge a higher, self-authored morality, a personal code rooted not in fear of punishment or desire for reward, but in the unshakable will of one's own being. This is the profound liberation of intellectual independence, the true path to authentic influence. The common distortion suggests that abandoning conventional morality inevitably leads to nihilism or egoism, a ruthless disregard for others. This shatters a fundamental expectation. Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil is not an invitation to immorality, but a call for a conscious revaluation of values. It is a demand to move towards an authentic, self-imposed ethical framework rooted in strength, integrity, and profound self-responsibility, rather than in the resentment or weakness of traditional slave morality. He cautioned, "He who fights with monsters might take care lest he thereby become a monster." This emphasizes that the cultivation of power requires an acute self-awareness and an ethical vigilance, ensuring that one's will remains aligned with growth, not destruction. The counterintuitive truth is that the threat of the independent will is its capacity to expose the inherent hypocrisy and weakness, often lurking beneath conventional goodness. What society often praises as virtue can, upon closer inspection, mask passive aggression, profound fear, or a subtle desire for control over others. True strength, in Nietzsche's view, comes with a profound ethical responsibility, not to external dictates, but to oneself, to the pursuit of one's highest potential, and to the creation of values that affirm life and growth. This radical self-overcoming demands an ethical rigor that transcends mere obedience. Beyond good and evil lies the path to authentic self-authorship. To practically transform this understanding into lived experience, consider a value creation exercise. Identify a moral dilemma in your life where conventional morality feels inadequate, where the prescribed answers ring hollow. Instead of seeking external rules, apply the principle of eternal recurrence. Ask yourself, would I want to live this decision, this consequence for all eternity? Would I choose this path again and again forever? This profound question forces radical self-authorship and ethical coherence, aligning your actions with your deepest, most authentic will. The true measure of your independence is your indifference to external validation. The free man is a warrior. This symbolic quote encapsulates the essence of the independent will. This warrior fights not against others, but against the internal forces of conformity, against inherited resentment, and against the insidious whispers of weakness. In this internal battle, they forge an ethical code that is both potent and profoundly personal, a true testament to authentic power. Embrace the abyss within. It holds the blueprint for your unshakable power. The mask you wear is not your true face. Uncover the will beneath. Are you ready to become such a warrior, to forge your own ethical compass in the wilderness of your own freedom? We have journeyed through the unsettling terrain where radical independence is perceived not as a virtue, but as a profound threat. You have come to understand that the man who needs no one is indeed a formidable presence, not because he wields destructive power, but because he embodies profound transformation. Such a soul challenges the very foundations of dependency and manipulation, both within society and within the individual psyche. This journey has not been about isolation, but about the arduous yet liberating process process of shedding the mask you wear to uncover the unshakable will beneath. We have traced the path from unconscious adherence to the comforting, yet often crippling, embrace of the herd mentality towards a conscious, deliberate self-overcoming. Through Nietzschean insights, we have seen how authentic personal power and psychological resilience are not granted, but forged in the crucible of self-authorship. We have confronted the hidden resentments that fuel societal fear of the autonomous spirit, recognized the subtle coercions of conventional morality, and understood solitude not as loneliness, but as a strategic withdrawal for the strengthening of the inner fortress. Your greatest strength lies not in conformity, but in radical self-overcoming. Let it be clear that embracing this darker, more unsettling aspect of Nietzsche's philosophy is not an invitation to become isolated, cold, or malicious. Quite the contrary, it is a profound call to achieve a higher form of freedom, an ethical self-authorship rooted in strength, integrity, and a deep responsibility to your own potential. It is the realization that to truly live, one must often shed multiple skins, face multiple deaths of the old self. As Nietzsche himself stated, with the truth that resonates through the ages, that which does not kill us makes us stronger. Every wound, every challenge overcome, every societal expectation defied for the sake of your truth becomes a sinew in your unshakable inner strength. Beyond good and evil lies the path to authentic self-authorship. Now, the challenge stands before you to integrate these potent insights into the very fabric of your being, to confront your own remaining dependencies, to examine where you still seek external validation, and to consciously embark on your unique path of self-mastery. This is not a passive contemplation, but an active, daily practice of becoming. It is the cultivation of an unshakable inner strength that allows you to stand firm, a beacon of intellectual independence and authentic power in a world that often fears such luminosity. The true measure of your independence is your indifference to external validation. Take a moment now to reflect on the journey. Feel the weight of the expectations you once carried, and then with a deep breath, consciously release them. Imagine yourself standing on a vast open plain, the wind sweeping freely around you, no longer needing to lean on anything or anyone for support. Feel the strength rising from within your own roots, from the depths of your own will. Embrace the abyss within. It holds the blueprint for your unshakable power. Are you ready to truly become the sovereign you were meant to be, to stand as a testament to profound self-authorship, even if your unyielding truth makes you the greatest challenge to a society built on less